I'm still Cheryl Forrest Morganson, and here is another mini lecture, this time on what to be wary of if you are a predominantly choral trained singer and you now want to go audition for musical theater. But first thing I need to kind of call out to what I'm actually doing, which is making dinner. Al dente is called to the tooth. Do not overcook your pasta. People who overcook their pasta probably also have like limp fish handshakes. It's just, don't do it. If you need pasta that's really, really soft because you just had like dental work done, polenta. There's a thing for that. It's called polenta. Okay. Anyway. Oh, and never rinse off your pasta. Just don't. And don't put oil on it unless it's like that's the dressing that you're putting on or the sauce you're putting on. Seriously. It's like any sauce you put on after you put on oil is just going to slide right off. Okay, so singing. One thing I have sometimes found myself writing when I'm in a casting panel situation is high school alto. And I mean absolutely no disrespect with that. That is exactly how I identify. But that for me is a shorthand way of calling back to how I was coming out of high school, having had no private lessons, no one ever saying, oh, this is how you sing better, but only working in a choral environment. Now, backing up for just a second, there are 4 parts of the vocal mechanism. There's respiration, basically the lungs. There's phonation, which is, we'll call it the level of the voice box. There's everything kind of north of that, which is the resonance spaces, which you can change very much. That's where we do a lot of our work. If you're working with me as a cast person or if I'm coaching you, we talk about resonance spaces. And then there's articulators. So again, respiration, phonation, resonance, articulators, or articulation. And choral training, and please, my dear choral educator friends, please don't crucify me for this. Choral training will absolutely equip you to sing well. It will get you 75% of the way to where you need to go. If you know how to support, using your lungs through a choral line, there's going to be no problem with singing, through a Broadway song. Ditto, if you can sing on pitch, the phonation part, you'll be fine. What changes is that in a choral setting, your one voice needs to blend with the others. When you're in a musical theater audition, often, if I hear someone who is, we'll say, blending a little too, clearly used to blending, other things you might say are their voice isn't really present, or their voice isn't pinging, or sometimes their voice is covered, like woo, 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 where it sounds like almost like they're hooting, rather than like forward. To me, that's a sign of someone who has been in a choir, has never had someone listen to them specifically, and been taught, okay, to sing like a choir, or to sing beautifully, is to sing and not really stick out. But in musical theater, we want you to stick out. So, using what I have at hand, a poorly trained choral singer might come in like this. I want to eat some pasta. If I was one of 100 singing an ode to pasta, and God knows there should be more odes to pasta written, that would probably be fine. I staggered breath. I didn't even have to let that cutoff was me trying to indicate that I was doing staggered breathing, which obviously if you're singing a solo, you cannot stagger breathe with yourself. That is different than musical theater, where the voice is generally much more brought forward, right? Like, I want to eat some pasta. It's more speech-like. I want to eat some pasta. I want to eat some pasta. Other things that for me ping that I'm looking at someone who is trained primarily as a choral person rather than a musical theater solo person is inquire. The director is going to make the choices of what words to kind of bring out. And so sometimes people who come in who have just had choral training are not used to saying, okay, in a given phrase like, I want to eat some pasta. Is it, I want to eat some pasta. I want to eat some pasta. I want to eat some pasta. I want to, et cetera, et cetera. And in musical theater, because the text is dominant, we are telling a story, we're communicating a story, you need to communicate a story as if you're speaking it just on pitch, right? So if you come in, you have ownership. I know if it's, I want to eat some pasta, or I want to eat some pasta, like those are 2 different stories. And I want you to come in and have decided and be very clear which one you want me to believe you're telling. Because if you come in and it's, I want to eat some pasta, it might be very, very beautiful, but you've given me nothing as far as your own take on a text. I'm going to pause right here because I need to stir and dump in pasta and what have you. But I will be exploring this idea of choral training as applied to musical theater auditioning in future lectures, because I think, again, this is where people who are fantastic community musicians have and are well-trained singers in a choral setting don't make the switches that are small but necessary to be a successful musical theater soloist. Thanks. Bye. Manja.